is up? We are back. Oh, I think you're muted there. You muted?
Rust.
There you go.
All right. Rust.
We're a little rusty. Rusty.
Podcast.
What's going on?
We have a nifty intro, but we don't have working mics. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back in the swing of things. Life is good. I seem to be over COVID. How about you?
Not quite. So yeah. COVID buddies.
Oh no. You got the lingering, the long term?
Not nearly as bad as what you've been going through, but yeah, I mean for anybody who's curious, I got the old COVID right before Christmas. So, or I guess the new COVID. I definitely had the Omicron symptoms. So that's been fun. It's not gone, which is a little disappointing. I got it on the 24th. My worst day was Christmas Eve.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not alone. So many people have been getting it. We all wanted to have the normal holiday that we've been wishing for, but I think that just wasn't in the cards. So, and I exposed my sister who had just flown over from New York the day before. So then she had to quarantine to make sure she was good before flying home. And it's just all a mess, man. It's a mess out here.
Yeah, not much better here. Half my staff is gone. They're starting to come back. This makes it a little bit easier, but yeah.
No, I felt bad too because I went to work at the vivarium on Tuesday, and my symptoms started a day or two later, so I kind of screwed up staffing for them as well. I think the Christmas Eve day was just an owner and one other guy, but what are you gonna do? It's not my fault.
Yeah.
I avoided the thing. I've been so good. I avoided it for 2 years. Always, wear my little mask and take my little vaccines. But it's just, I took one too many chances and accidentally wandered into a super spreader event where all 12 people in the room got it in an hour.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What are you gonna do?
Wow. I hope. I wish you not the long COVID that. Hopefully it goes.
I mean, for the most part, like I had it pretty bad for a couple of days, with the fever and whatnot. But I never lost taste. I never lost smell. My lingering stuff is just the cough and the fatigue. More so than anything else. But yeah,
it seems like for me that I'm getting less and less days of the fatigue and more days of being normal.
That's good, because
that's good,
man. It's been months of not right for you, and that's not cool.
Yeah, 100%.
I know how that feels from the mono.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, 2021 was a year of virus for me.
What a sucky year.
But here we are. What did you do for your holidays?
Well, because so my mom is sick, so we try to keep her away from anything that's COVID related. And because of the fact that 3 of my assistants got COVID and I was around them, so I didn't want to take the chance. So me and the wife just hung out, which is okay,
Right on.
Yeah.
Dory and the animals.
Yep. No worries. It was all good. Still haven't got to see the parents yet, but I'll get there. But yeah, my sister was supposed to come up from Florida, but she canceled that because of everything that was happening. So it's probably for the best, but no worries.
For sure.
You don't have to celebrate Christmas on the 25th. It can be any day.
That's true. I'm not even religious. Just do it whenever.
Yeah. Big fat man bringing presents. Oh, well,
for me, it's the Hallmark holiday. So yeah. I just like the pretty lights.
Yeah. I guess. We had the day, I think it was the Sunday before everybody started getting it. We went out to see like this light show. I took my niece and nephew to see it, and then everybody got COVID after that. So we were all exposed to each other. So we're all like, "Oh no, who's got it?" Turned out they all got it.
I thought that I was going to be the one to ruin like family Christmas, right? Because we had
Yeah.
planned that we were all going to do a Christmas for the first time in a couple of years, and I tested positive. Um, I thought first, but turns out my cousin in Santa Barbara had tested positive like 2 hours earlier, and so that whole side of my family wasn't coming anyway. So that made me
Uh,
feel a little better.
yeah, that's good.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna
You had COVID. Owen had his
do? Oh
organs
yeah,
removed.
Owen Owen had internal failure to thrive.
Right. Riley had what he thought was COVID. Oh, we're just falling apart.
Yeah, Riley had Riley
Yeah.
things. That's always something. I
Oh,
love him.
Riley.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. But
Uh,
shoot,
yeah.
carpets and coffee. Back
Yeah.
again.
Welcome. Carpets and
Welcome to
coffees.
2022. We
That's right.
talk about coffee and snakes.
Yes. What
So,
is better? I mean, what
what
can be a
is
better mix? I
better?
mean,
Did you enjoy a cup of coffee today, Eric?
I did. I'm actually finishing it up right now. I know it's late for me, but
Ah,
I'm living on the edge. I got this
yes.
nice Australian cup here, Australia. There you
That's
go.
sweet.
Representing. I like that. A
Yeah.
little Aboriginal art. I have another Papua New Guinea coffee that I got. It's from
Okay.
Barodi Estates. They think it's possibly the oldest coffee estate in Eastern Highlands of Papua New Guinea. Um, and it has like this earthy, sweet green tea flavor to it, kind
Ooh,
of.
very good.
Real smooth. It's a light medium roast, and the roaster is actually out of Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
But yeah, it's real good. I just got it, and yeah, I like it a lot. So
Very good.
put in.
I awoke to a shortage of coffee filters in my home this morning, which is never
Oh
fun
no!
because then you can't make the beans. so,
Oh,
so I had to leave my house to get my caffeine this morning. So I got some Blue Bottle coffee,
Blue Bottle
which
coffee. Never
yes,
heard of that.
Blue Bottle coffee is a well-known standard in the Bay Area, well celebrated, very famous. It's in the that iconic San Francisco ferry building that all the
Uh-huh.
tourists like to take pictures at. Blue Bottle's in
Right.
there. Um, it has been well known as one of the best like little craft roasteries. It kind of started that in the Bay Area, but I think in 2017, 2018, something like that, while I was in college, Nestle bought it. So everyone was up in arms. All the coffee fanatics were like, "That's
Right.
not allowed," but still good, still good. Yeah, very
Okay. Blue Bottle.
bright, light roast situation. I got their cold brew in a can, which was very
Okay.
good, very flavorful,
Sounds
very
delicious.
caffeinated.
Right on.
So
is this something when I take my herping trip to come out to West to you guys? Is that something that I'll be able to try out?
Bay Area for sure. I think they probably have
Okay.
also infiltrated LA, but it's
Okay.
not like big to the point of like any random gas station in California kind of thing. It's like there's a few, It's
I try to stay away from gas station coffee as
Yeah.
much as I can.
yeah. But if you come here
Yeah.
and let me host you guys and take you around to my field biology secret spots,
Right.
I will get you Blue Bottle from down the street.
Excellent. All right.
And we can do an in-person carpets and coffee with coffee.
Yeah, that would be it. Yeah. We were actually drinking coffee. Yeah, we're
yes.
we're pretty I've never been to the West Coast. So we're going to the San Diego. Yeah, San Diego. No. Yeah. Yeah, that's the area, right?
San Diego. So San Diego's south of LA, like right above
Yeah.
Mexico, all the way at the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're up in that kind of vicinity, right?
Deserty.
Yeah. So should be cool.
Nate?
Did you ever try shrimp with the Kims? Oh, I was like, who's the Kims?
The
no, I
Kims.
didn't. I didn't, but I'm sure they'll eat it. Oh, Kimberly rocks. Wait, I have I'm sort of we're jumping all over the place, but it's all right.
That's the show.
Yeah. Interesting thing that I guess they're coming into their own, getting comfortable in the whole thing of being in my me being the food monkey of choice for them. But dude, when they hunt, so much. I shouldn't say so much cooler than I think it's cooler than the Ackies because they have this long neck and they sort of like, you can see them like sticking their heads in these little parts of the cork bark and like, the tongue's sticking out. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like watching a tiny little parenti on the hunt for and
Man.
like I'll do it with crickets. So I don't really feed crickets all that much because I can't stand crickets. I usually
hate
do
crickets.
more than roaches. Yeah.
Yep.
But I find that when I do the roaches, I put them in like a little cup so they can kind of eat out of the cup. But when I do crickets, I just kind of throw some randomly in there. And that, dude, they watching them hunt was so cool. I don't know if you've noticed that or seen that.
So, I mean, for me right now, I still only have Ackies at my place. My trio of Kims that I got with a friend are living at said friends.
Oh, okay.
So I've had visitation hours, but I don't have anybody here until
not weekend
they get a little
visitation.
Bigger. Yeah. Well, I didn't have an empty cage. Just be like, send them over, but send the kids over. But we want to raise them together so they're nice and familiar. And then when it comes time to separate, then I'll have one or two here and one there, pair appropriately. But when I've gone over to visit, man, they're just the coolest freaking things.
Oh yeah,
they're so cool. Ackies are Ackies are great, and I love the Ackies. They're a little derpy. Like sometimes, at least for mine, the thing has to be moving for them to eat it. So like when I was feeding little bits of salmon trim, I had to like wiggle it around to get my guy to be like, "Oh, it's food!" Like, but
excellent. Yeah. I don't know. I guess no, they're pretty good with going after food, but not like the Kims though. Not like the Kims. The Kims
maybe mine's just special.
Yeah. Well, I kind of equate it to like the Ackies are like a Burmese python, and the Kimberleys are like a retic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
sure, in terms of
wise, like that's how
present.
Yeah. Brendan wants some Tristis. Yeah.
I know
cool too, man.
Stevens himself is working with Tristis.
Yeah. Alan has he has a nice group of those, I think. But how's breeding going? Have you done anything?
Man,
yet?
I don't know. So I've been pairing everything for a few months except for the Brettles.
Right.
So as we've talked about before our break, the highlighter jungles were locking a ton. I think that it feels like the girl is building. Like when I palpate, I get a little boom, 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 boom in the right spots. But I haven't necessarily noticed any ovulation, and she hasn't gone into any shed. So hopefully it's all still just good signs and in progress. But she's also still feeding. I chucked her a rat just to see what would happen, and she said, "Yes, please, absolutely." So I don't know. We'll see. I know that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's that. And then with the Western blackheads, also locked up a ton, but it doesn't feel like she's building at all. So I'm not holding my breath for that this year. Keep at it, see what happens. But it sounds like the blackheads especially are they lock up just fine. That's not the problem. It just doesn't always lead to ovulations. And I saw Derek Roddy post the other day that he finds with a lot of his Western type animals, especially the Lazic stuff, which these are also partly descended from. He finds that they only truly cycle every 2 or 3 years in his experience, and that kind of lines up with everybody I've talked to that is working with the quote Western stuff. It seems like year after year success is more rare with that than it is for pure Eastern stuff. Or I shouldn't say pure. Nothing's pure. Eastern type stuff.
Right.
But I've talked to multiple breeders that do have the Western stuff. Nick, Justin Julander, Dan Vermelia before he sent them to me, et cetera, et cetera. And it doesn't seem like they seem to cycle and ovulate as often as the ones that are not thought to be of Western descent. So It's interesting. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know.
Huh.
Folks that produce every single year, Jason Hood, etc. It seems like those perennial animals that are consistently reproducing for the blackheads, they don't tend to be the Westerns. They tend to be Eastern stuff, Swiss line stuff. But
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
interesting.
I'm just anecdotal. But so yeah. And then Womas, Owen's Womas.
If you breed them, produce eggs. Oh, poor
Yeah.
guy.
Well, it seems right. So like it seems like his girl does her side of things just fine. He's gotten eggs from her that look fully shelled and
Yeah.
all nice and good, but they've never been successfully fertilized.
Right.
So his boy that he sent has definitely locked up with the girl. But with that in mind, I also chucked in a different boy.
Okay.
Because I have an 11-year-old male Woma available to me as of recent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So from somebody that was their only snake, so I was willing to take the risk of not quarantining forever because they don't have a lot of animals, and this thing seemed healthy to me.
What a weird pick for a single snake.
Yeah,
You
he was
know?
he was an interesting dude. He was an attorney, and he's a little older in life, and I just
Sophisticated
got
gentleman.
a sophisticated gentleman, but
Yeah.
I just got lucky. He got in contact with me as like somebody that is obsessed with Womas, and it's like,
Right.
here, take it. So I was like,
Right.
okay. But yeah,
Nice.
so there is a chance that if Owen's male is the problem, maybe this other one will get a crack at it, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, his gallbladder will explode. Too late. I already did. Yeah.
It's gone.
His gallbladder that exploded when they locked.
Yeah. So how's school been?
So I've been on break for the most part. This is
okay.
first week back actually, and
Okay.
it's gonna be reasonably okay this semester, from all I can tell. I'm only taking conservation biology, which is another Loafman course. So
Right.
Zach is my teacher again, and he told me that he's trying to make this one less crazy than herpetology, which is nice.
So when you do when you do that, is it all everything encompassing, or is it specifically focused on herpetoculture or herpetology?
This class is going to be all encompassing.
Okay.
Conservation biology, broad lens.
Right. Okay.
Gotcha. The graduate herpetology last semester that I took includes conservation specific to herps.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this is through a broader, just everything, all encompassing lens. But without having gotten into any of the content yet, I'm sure it's going to have a lot of discussion with how it is not all encompassing,
Right.
because AZA is super picky choosy about which species get conservation initiatives and which don't. And surprise, surprise, it's the cute, cuddly, charismatic ones.
Sure.
That drive admission sales. It's not the bugs and the creepy crawlies. Yeah. So that's definitely a noticeable theme. But
what's
I'm
up?
doing that. Oh, what's up?
Smitty and Brats are watching from the shop. Smoke one for me. All right.
I was just listening to their conversation with Casey. That was good. That was a good one. Yeah. Snakes and stogies. Yeah.
It's it's a weird thing, right? It seems like I guess everybody sort of follows this trend that they sort of take off the 2 weeks at the end of December for the holidays and all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sort of thinking, I mean, I enjoy the break, but I'm thinking like, man, what a way to capitalize on people looking for content.
Yeah.
To have some pre-recorded shows ready to go, and try to capture some audience or something, because nobody puts anything out. So as soon as Snakes and Stogies were back and THP was back, I'm like, oh, thank God, something to listen to while I drive.
100%. Yeah. Well, especially when I was just doing my COVID 10 days, I kept refreshing all the feeds. I was like, nothing.
I did find well, since it's you and me, we can go off point for a second.
Okay.
And we
music?
can talk a little old music guitar. I'm telling you, you have to check out this podcast. And hold on, let me find it real quick. I want to call it's called Dipped in Tone.
How I'm always trying to be.
Yeah, Dipped in Tone.
We want to be saturated in tone, Eric.
I don't know if you ever heard the guy Rhett Shaw. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Have you ever heard Rick Beato?
Uh-uh.
Oh, dude, you got to watch these guys.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
they're amazing musicians, but Rhett Shaw in particular, he does like really like deep dives into like he'll talk about like how different amps sound and why they sound this way, or like, you know, how to practice better and like what you should be listening to, or how to like take a song, learn a part and apply it to yourself, all this kind of stuff. But
Nice.
he does, and then I found out he does a podcast and it's called Dipped in Tone, and it's pretty
That's
good.
awesome.
So I guess the break is good. It breaks me from Reptile podcast. I get
There
to
you
listen
go.
to a little music
You dipped
podcast.
your toes in tone.
Yes, exactly. I've had the bug. I haven't had the bug in years to like put. See, there you go, Matthew. Rick.
I'll get
what
on
makes
it.
this song great? Start with what makes this song great.
Okay.
What he does is he picks a song. He takes a song that, you know, is like a popular song, and he just breaks it apart. He goes into theory. So if you're into music theory, sort of like deep dives into that and tells you what's going on and why you like this thing. He pulls out the tracks and listens to these it's great, man. But yeah, I've been excited about like playing music in quite a while. And I started challenging myself to learn finger picking.
Excellent.
Like acoustic style finger picking
my
stuff,
favorite.
like legit, you know?
Yeah.
And
like keeping the bass
guitar.
constant in the thumb.
Yeah.
That's the hardest damn part.
Oh my God. It's like, what the hell?
Well, it's one of the only times with guitar playing where you have to almost do left hand, right hand.
The drum thing, right?
Like a piano, right? Because the thumb has to be doing like a boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, and you can't break that no matter what the other fingers are doing.
Yeah.
But anyway. Carpets, coffee, and chords.
Yeah, there you go. Excellent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I've been jazzed about music.
That's awesome.
Late,
I mean,
and,
those periods of inspiration and like motivation is so so awesome and kind of elusive. So enjoy it, man. Like I'm in a bit of a musical rut, so I envy you.
Oh, wow. I'll have to so the thing of it is like, so Keith McPeak and me have this private chat that we do, and we'll send each other like different musicians, all types of musicians, right? Singers, pianists, guitar players, drummers, you know, anything that's music, any style of music, nothing's off the table.
Nice.
And he'll send me something, and he's somebody that wishes that he could play. And he's like, so he doesn't understand like how people can do that. They're like, how do you do that? And
sure,
you know,
yeah,
I guess in a way he kind of reinvigorated me to sort of like pick up the guitar again. And like when I started picking it up again, I'm like, you know, I really should learn how to play this right. And you know, and I'm like, you know, I don't know, man. And then just one thing led to another. You know how it snowballs, and then
100%. I had one of the greatest periods like that for myself was when I went to college for the first time and started working with a different, you know, mentor there that just had a completely different background in terms of guitar than my, you know, childhood teacher. And basically he told me that my technique was trash and built me up from the ground up. Like I had to I had been playing even semi-professionally for a long time, and he was like, nope, stop moving your wrist or stop moving your elbow, only your wrist. And he made me just go back to the beginning and completely reteach myself technique, like you're talking about with the finger picking.
Yeah.
And it was it started like a 4-year period of re-engaging with the instrument that I've been playing since I was a third grader. Right. You know?
Right.
And I do miss that. It felt great. It felt great.
That's cool, man. Yeah. That's cool. I do miss playing live. I do miss that.
Oh shit, you're telling me. I had my first big break tour, and then COVID.
Oh, son of a bitch. But yeah, that's sort of where, you know, I spent my break doing a lot of that and just you know, like relearning songs and just, you know, the finger picking. And I gotta say, man, like young musicians today, they blow my freaking mind. Like, some of the shit that I love when musicians sort of like take what the generation before did and then make it their own and apply these, like I see these, you know, like the slap hand things, shit on the acoustic guitar, and like all these
Yeah,
crazy
the
like,
percussive stuff.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild, man. It's good stuff. It's good
There
stuff.
was I all right, preface. I don't really watch American Idol. I think
Okay.
it's mostly a piece of
Oh, I
crap.
know
But
who
there
you're gonna
was
say. I know who you're gonna say.
yeah,
Alejandro.
Alejandro, dude.
What the
And
hell, man?
talk about the percussive guitar play. I think he really brought that into the forefront, and people
Yeah.
have been trying to mimic that sound for 3 or 4 years now, and they're catching on.
I remember. So my wife watches that, and I'll
Yeah,
watch like I'll watch it in and out from time to time. And
yeah,
when I saw him auditioning, I was like, oh,
insane.
that dude that's the shit, man. You know?
Yeah, no, it's just a complete. It's a different instrument at that point. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, but
But
yeah, no, that's
snakes.
great. Thanks, snakes. I
Sorry,
was
everybody.
to finish my breeding thoughts. I'm also cooling the Bredls for real now, so I'm on day 4 of deep cool. So
Deep
these
cool. So what's deep cool?
so I get them down to 70 at night in the room
Right.
over the course of about a month, and that's about as low as I'm going to drop this room. So now I put them in these blackout bins behind me at night, toss them in the living room next to an open window, and I've been getting them down into the 50s. Um,
So
yeah.
you'll appreciate this. Tonight, overnight low is going to be -2.
Sweet. Yeah, you guys have had like an Arctic vortex or something, right?
I don't know, man.
I saw like wind chill -12 or
Yeah.
something.
Oh my god. Wow. I don't mind the snow. I hate driving in ice. I absolutely I'm white knuckling that like slipping and sliding all over the
Yeah.
place. But
Ugh, spooky.
so I did have I don't know if you've seen anything cool over the break, but I'm gonna share. I thought that it's been a while since I've like really deep dived into carpet morphs, if you will. Um, but
I also want to ask you about your breeding season after this.
sure.
Don't want to forget.
So Paul Harris put up this picture of a hypogranite,
Okay.
and it reminds me, for all the Popwin carpet fans out there, it looks like, so this, oh, now I can't get it to pop up. What the hell's going on here?
So hypogranite, coastal Papuan situation, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me get this back here.
And hypo is what Owen wants to steal from your home.
Yes. But he would say that what a hypogranite is is sacrilege. Let me try to do it this
For
way.
sure.
But obviously Paul always has I'm gonna have to go to the internet and get it.
All right.
It's not sharing on my notes.
No worries.
Granite carpet.
I'm trying to picture it in my head before you show me because I haven't seen this yet, and I'm struggling for hypogranite in my head. I don't know.
Well, that didn't work.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's kind of, so there used to be this carpet python, this granite line called Pool Boy was the one animal. Pool Boy, yeah.
Okay.
And it comes from the Viking reptilia line of granites, and for whatever reason, like these granites in particular, especially at the time, had like this amazing here we go. All right, now we got it. I had to go to Instagram. Why did I think you would have to go to Facebook in order to see this?
Facebook.
Share
Facebook is so
screen.
2010, Eric.
See, PSP, they know what's going on. Pool Boy, the best one, man.
There you
Those
go.
granites were. Maybe I spoke too soon.
It's tough. Technology's tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, my breeding season is, if I'm being honest, I definitely, um like I'm into breeding and all like and everything,
Mhm.
and that's all good, but I'm not really um like uh, what's what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not as driven to
Mhm.
do it. Like this is like the first season to where if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, okay, that's cool too. Uh, but the one thing that
Sure.
I'm probably pumped most about is diamond pythons, right?
Yes. Me
Um,
too. For you.
yeah, I would like to and to be honest, I'm sort of like really excited about the whole idea of diamond pythons, and that's one I wanted to talk to you about. Well, Eric, yeah, I forgot the Russians. Yes, for sure. How?
Because
Okay,
yeah,
here we go.
before the break, I mean, obviously last year you really didn't breed anything for the most
No,
part, and then you were saying this year there were a few things that you really wanted to dial in on with the diamonds, the inlands. Um, what's that one? Yakapori Depot.
yeah, the Russians.
Mhm. All right,
So
there you
this
go.
is the hypogranite, and like you can't really see from this picture, but I would encourage you to go to check it out on Instagram,
So,
UK
what do you think?
Pythons.
What are your thoughts?
Well, you could probably, I mean, you can get the same look from this snake if you probably selectively bred granites, right?
Sure. I was
Um,
also
I,
going to say it looks a lot like how my granite jag did when she was
yes,
younger and had her maximum amount of yellow.
yes. I'm curious to see how it ages for
Yeah.
sure. Um, how do you spell that? Yakapori? I don't know. I think so. Yes.
Chicken
Um,
yakapori.
but I was quite taken by that snake. I don't know if it's the eyes,
Yeah.
the lavender that you can see in the stripe. Um,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I was really like, oh, okay, that's cool. Not that I necessarily want to have it,
Right. Yeah.
but
That's kind
you
of
know,
the boat that I'd be in with that. It is beautiful, but I also feel like not quite as different as I thought from hearing just the two words. But maybe I'm just biased because I had a granite jag.
right?
But I
Yeah, I
guess hey,
think
there's a granite jag kind of vibe without the neuro. So there you go.
yeah, yeah. There you
Yeah.
go. All good. Um, I much, I don't know. I guess I don't know, man. I guess I'm getting older, and I don't necessarily care about being, you know, uh, the first one to produce this or that or whatever,
Mhm. Yeah,
But yeah, uh, yeah,
for
it's all
sure.
good. So diamond pythons are something that I'm real excited about, and interesting enough, I sort of have redone that stack over there I moved the blue tongue skink is now in the top cage
I
there.
forget you have a blue tongue skink.
Dude, let me tell you, I never thought I was talking to Nipper about this the other day. Never in a million years did I think um that I would have a skink, because in the early days when I was hanging out with Zach Baez, he was a huge blue tongue skink fan,
Yeah,
and he's like, I'm telling you, man, they're so cool, and I'm like, no, they got tiny little legs, and I don't know, man, I can't get into them.
yeah,
Uh, but
they're a weird
I,
animal.
Justin sent this to me, and I opened like that top door there, and it just comes right to the edge, and it's sort of just hanging over the thing, just kind of chilling out, looking at me. And I don't know, man, it's
Yeah,
pretty cool. I don't care about breeding them. I
right.
don't care about anything. I did keep one.
No,
But
I
below
get
that
you.
is,
Yeah,
yeah,
I like working with them at work, but I don't really want to
yeah,
bring one home.
right. Well, yeah, you get the best. You get the best of that experience where you can
For
sort
sure.
of have them at work and leave them and be like, yeah, it was cool.
Scratch the itch enough without spending the money.
Right.
Yeah,
So these are all diamond python cages
nice.
here. One, two, three, four. And I put UV,
Mm,
DP emitter, and uh what's the other, like, what's the other thing? Wait. Yeah, that's it. Just those two things, right?
Nice.
So there's like UVA, UVB light, and then the heat emitter, right?
Mhm.
And oh, then the jungle dawn thing, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I knew there was another one.
Those
Um,
jungle dawns are great. That's what I have in the 6 foot cage for the blackhead.
what a difference it makes when your cage is lit up.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
especially with something like that, that is like, I don't know much about the lighting stuff, but it's quality enough light to really make things pop.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God. The Riverbank Zoo, which is the second one down right there.
Mhm.
Um, with that light, holy shit. Amazing. Amazing,
That's
amazing
awesome.
animal. You see all like the little it's not a reduced pattern, but it sort of has like this peppery type pattern where it's got this white scales that pop throughout. But I put that in there. I got like big branches and stuff in there, and just the
Nice.
behavior that I've noticed in them, and the change in them, and the feel of them. And I've talked about this before on NPR, where I noticed that like some of my snakes that were in racks, carpets, like their muscle tone, especially in like their prehensile tail, seemed didn't seem I don't know. It didn't seem
Yeah.
strong, I guess. I don't know if that's the right verbiage or whatever. And I've talked to people, and some people tell me, muscles in snakes don't work the same as muscles in mammals, and which is true, right? But
Sure.
I don't know. I would think you have to use it somewhat
Yeah.
to,
I agree. We've talked
right?
about it before. I feel like it's got to be a use it or lose it to some extent,
Right.
especially something that's a climbing mechanism.
Yeah.
Um,
And they do not leave the purchase. Like they
nice.
are 100%
How
always off the
thick are
ground,
your perches, or what are you using for the perches?
like that thick.
Okay.
They're like Christian Parr brought me a bunch of like I guess he chopped down some trees by his house or whatever, and kind of
Perfect.
like brought me like these big pieces of perches with forks and all kinds of
Oh,
stuff.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so it's great, but they're always like their tail is like locked around that thing, and it's oh man, it's just nuts. So
That's
loving
awesome.
them. They seem to be loving life. It's great. I moved the small diamond python that I posted up the reduced pattern
Hmm.
the other day on Instagram up into a nice big exoterra to see how it goes. And yeah. So when will I be pairing them up? Probably I'm thinking like maybe February or March, maybe. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm
I've
sure we'll
never
talk
done
about it.
yeah, I've never done spring breeders before, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm sort of approaching my inland carpets the same way. That's the other
Mhm.
one that I'm really excited about. So we'll see
Awesome.
how that goes. But yeah, that's when I'll be pairing them up. Oh
That's
yeah.
awesome. I really hope that. I mean, both of those. I really hope they go for you. Such awesome animals.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I hope it's gonna be fun with I guess with diamonds, there's not a lot of variability, especially when they hatch out. But I'm hoping with the inlands, I'm gonna see some killer red.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, like
Mog stuff, right?
yeah,
That you have. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You should be some cool red stuff in there.
yeah. We got to talk about your Eastern Indigo.
Aha. Yes. Thank you. Dude, they're awesome. They're so
Yeah,
cool. Yes. Shoot, I mean, where to even begin? Uh, they are exactly what people say they are. They're the coolest thing. They're cobras without the death, but their poop smells like shit.
oh
But
really?
yeah, it is different now that, because I whenever I talk about the foulness of false water
Yeah,
cobra poop,
yeah,
everybody says, yeah, but indigos, you know? So now that
right,
I actually get to compare directly, they're both really bad in their own way.
really.
Yeah, I'd say they're both a 9 out of 10, but different flavors of 9 out of
Gotcha. Okay,
10.
all right,
So, but it's worth it. They're amazing. I'm really excited to raise those up.
okay.
Yeah.
Light roast versus dark roast type of thing. That's
Yeah, exactly. Except bad.
right.
Like open the
So are
tub
they
and
like
gag.
cleaning every day? Is it you have to check them every day?
So I'm feeding. I do check them every day,
Right.
just because they're amazing to look at and interact with. Um,
Sure.
but I'm trying to feed them about every 3 to 4 days. The way I do my falsies, smaller meals more often. Um,
Okay.
a variety
Mixing
of
it up.
prey items. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. They also got that salmon when I was doing that with the monitors, and they loved that, um, which was neat to see. I think fish will be or Eastern Indigos, anything like false water cobras. Yeah. So I sorry, I got distracted. But what was I saying? No, it's not every day. I'd say they take a dump about 24 to 48 hours after you're feeding,
Okay.
pretty consistently. When they're bigger, it'll be more of an issue. They are small. They're 2021s.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. To answer that though, I mean, are Eastern Indigos anything like false water cobras? I would say, relative to everything else I have, yes. But to somebody that is a colubroid person, they'd
Right.
probably say, "Hell no." But
Right.
you know, I'm living in a world of pythons with these two big, intelligent species of colubrids. So to me, there's a lot of similarities in that they're both seemingly really smart, very visually cued into everything, diurnal, active, um, and they both eat with a speed and veracity that just doesn't exist in pythons. Like
Really?
it's gone in like 2 seconds. Like if you
Wow.
want to feed multiple things, by the time they take the first one off the tongs and you're reaching for the second pinky or whatever, it's gone. They're ready. Like
Wow.
it's like a greased hot dog through a tube, um,
Wow.
which is so cool to see. At least with indigos, when they're going yang, 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 like that's fine. But when false water cobras are going yang, 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 really fast, you're like, crap. This is what they mean. Don't let it chew on you. The first thing it does is chew. It chews like Sonic the Hedgehog. So it's
Right.
like, yeah, um, yeah, super
They've
cool.
they've always been a colubrid that indigos have always been one that I've swear. I remember when I was a little kid, they had like the TFH books,
Mm,
and the indigo snake was one that sort of stood out to me. Probably because you didn't really see them in captivity all that much. It was
sure.
kind of like I
Yeah.
guess it's always been, you want what you can't have type of deal.
Yeah.
You know, at one point that was ball pythons for me, but which is
And
crazy.
here we are.
you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. But
And at one point,
yeah,
I wanted to be president.
uh but yeah, it's yeah, they've always kind of fascinated me. I almost took the plunge a couple of years ago. Owen had
Mhm.
basically convinced me to get these so I could breed them and give him some so he didn't have to worry about the permit process.
It's from what I've heard, and I haven't done it myself because mine was not in across state
Across
lines.
state
But from
lines,
what
right?
I've heard, it's not that hard. It just takes a little while for them to
Yeah,
process.
isn't it like you have to upfront the money? So
Yeah,
I think it's like a couple
yeah,
$100 or something like
right.
that, and like then you have to
I
wait
think
for it to be approved. And
exactly. I think on Black Pearl, John Michael's website, he says it's easy. It just costs X amount of dollars, but you just have to plan like 2 or 3 months ahead.
right, right,
Um,
right.
that's
It's
my
not like a
interpretation.
snake you can go onto Morph Market and be like, "Can you ship Tuesday?"
Yeah, exactly. Which uh, that's another conversation.
Yeah,
Anyway,
ship Tuesday, yo.
yeah,
you know.
I need it for a Christmas present.
uh,
Okay,
well,
yeah. Sorry, Christmas is during winter.
yeah.
Uh, but I mean, yeah, I was just gonna say the entire Trimarchon genus, like it is fascinating to me, and the thing with the Easterns is just the amount of like lore surrounding that snake is elevated. I feel like just because of how imperiled it is, and it's pretty much the only snake in North America that gets legitimate conservation initiatives. It is quite literally the only, not only the only snake, but the only squamate on the AZA's saving from extinction list. It's the only
Really?
reptile on the list. There's
Wow.
yeah.
I thought San Fran garters were on there. No.
So that I'm not talking about state and federally listed.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
Association for Zoos and Aquariums has their own thing,
Oh, okay.
like
I
like
got you.
most major players, and their safe program is where they claim to
Gotcha.
put forth the most amount of money and resources to save things from extinction. And I mean, it was kind of a trick question on one of Zach's Loafman's tests last semester for herpetology. Was break down AZA's safe program for one snake and one lizard. And we all said, what the hell? There's no lizards. It's just the indigo. And he's like, exactly. Do as you will. So, but yeah, I mean, like you said, you want what you can't have. But in the case of Easterns, the Eastern indigos, there's something that I think, as long as you can deal with the poop and you're willing to have a snake that is more like a lizard,
Yeah.
um, they're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. I get what people mean with like just the presence that you feel from them is more like a monitor, um, in terms of perceived intelligence that is
Gotcha.
hard to put into words. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. 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 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's watching who kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot. I don't know.
That's cool. That's cool.
I mean,
Okay.
with those indigos here now, I don't know if
Yeah.
you remember, but like 2 years ago or whenever you had me on NPR for the first time,
Right.
for the closing questions, it was like, what do you want to add? I
Yeah.
said, Trimarchon, false water cobras, inlands, and
Did you say roughies?
roughies and diamonds. I think that's what I said. So
Oh,
diamonds
man,
the
you're
only one
almost there.
left.
Well,
So
hopefully I
like,
can hook you up.
yeah, I know it looks like I've been just kind of crazy grabbing and adding things, but it actually has all been according to the master plan.
Okay. Very good. Very
I'm
good.
quoted. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like there's a balance in the world, right? You're buying more and I'm getting rid of stuff. It's
There
like
you go.
we're
Yeah.
balancing out the world, That's how we go.
Mhm. Exactly.
But yeah, I slimmed down my collection quite a bit. I was talking
Okay.
to Rob about it and Nipper, and I gotta say, man, I've held off on doing this for such a long time because I don't know. I don't want to get rid of that. I don't want to get rid of that. I don't, whatever that would be, what the reason would be. But oh, it's so much enjoy. It's so so enjoyable.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't do it before. If you're a breeder, you're in a different situation, right? But
Mhm.
I've never really been. I thought I wanted to be a breeder, and then I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
So, and with all the podcasts that are, um, you know, are going now, it's like, to me, that takes up such a huge chunk of my time
Sure.
that, it's not fair to the animals. And, I'd much rather just enjoy them. Do I have the Pimbora? No, I moved them on. But I do know that Matt Minatola, he still has a pair. We kind of bought pairs around the same time. So it's things like that, right? Do you want to keep them? If I get rid of them, I'm going to regret this like 3
Right.
years from now or something like that. I tried to do it, I try to give Owen first shot at things so that if I have to, retrieve or
Well, of
want to get back
course.
into, it's a stone's throw away.
Plus, if you didn't, you'd quit the show.
Yeah. And Matt had those, so I'm not yeah, I'm not really digging the big reptiles anymore. I don't know. I guess I'm just getting old, man. I don't know. I've always
No,
been
I hear
the
you.
big reptile guy, and I did that most of my life. And if I was going to have a big animal, I would probably just have that animal. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm somebody that has never had that bug. I don't really want anything bigger than, say a blackhead
Carpet.
or a
Right.
brettle.
Right.
Just because, yeah, I would never be able to do the animal justice.
Yeah.
Just thinking of things proportionally, what we consider an acceptable enclosure size for like a corn snake. If you
Right.
size that up for your retic,
That's
it
probably
ain't
the
an 8 by
room
2.
for my
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
You know,
So I don't know. I'm with you there. I think that they're incredible animals, but if I can't do them justice, it's
like
not.
that enclosure that the Lothman
Oh
made
yeah,
for the
on
monitor.
campus. Yeah,
Yeah. Holy
yeah,
frick. Like,
yeah.
goddamn. That's
And
doing it
what I
right.
love most about that enclosure too is like they didn't even try for naturalistic. It's just cool. It's like it's just used, it's just effective. It has everything you would ever need, but they didn't try to make it look like a jungle because it doesn't
Yeah.
always have to.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I've done the retics and the red tails and I've done all that, so I guess it's like I don't know. I guess it's like you sort of yeah, I do have scrubs. I do have a pair. Well, I only have a female
Which scrubs are
of
you hanging on to? Is it
I
Barney?
have the Southerns, the
Okay.
Marokies.
Okay.
I've worked with every type, I've worked with
Hmm.
Tannenbars, Malucans, Halmaheras, Barnecks, of all different localities, the Southerns. And again, there are species that they, especially an animal like that, it demands a certain level of respect,
For
especially
sure.
scrubs,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I definitely I'm holding out for hope that maybe one day there'll be either Owen Pelly because they're a big snake. That would be a
Hmm.
big snake that I would work with 100% for
For
sure.
sure. I
Hands
mean, I
down.
could see you getting rid of everything and building it a freaking
Oh yeah, 100%, man.
fortress.
Oh my God. Yeah. And
Yeah. You have a more special connection to that snake than most people on the planet. So I wouldn't fault you at all.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was quite a event in life. We were, I guess it comes up on your Facebook feed or whatever. And I was sort of chatting with Keith and Rob and Owen, and we were just sort of saying like, man, how lucky we were to get that trip right before
Yeah.
this whole disaster of no traveling for such a long time. Like, man, if you're gonna have one last trip, that was the trip to have, So
100%.
all good.
100%.
But yeah, it's been fun herping in the States. We're going to California and then we're gonna head to Arizona, I think in June, I think it
Okay.
is.
All right.
So I've never been to either place, so that's pretty cool. I know the other NPR guys went out to Arizona this past year and hit
Mhm.
rattlesnake gold.
Yeah.
I'm excited that Nipper is hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be headed out to the Arizona trip. That'll be
Sweet.
that'll be amazing.
Ready to actually deliver the stingy knee slaps that he always threatens.
Oh, mate, I can hear
Mate.
him now, mate. Oh, you floored me, mate. Look, it's a rattlesnake. Oh, mate.
you said June for that one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, hey, I'd, I'd go.
We need a cameraman.
Mhm. I'm there. Count me in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Arizona?
I did. Yeah. On. I've been a few times. I used to go when I was younger for some A's spring training baseball with my dad.
Okay. Right.
But then on tour, we played a few shows in Arizona and stayed for a couple days off in Tucson. And I tried to herp, but all I could find were cool lizards and a couple scorpions. No
Right.
snakes.
Yeah. I'm hoping we hit some rattlesnake gold.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping. Something cool about finding rattlesnakes. I don't know.
Hell yeah, man.
I dig it.
I agree.
Yeah. So so there's that. So I did have like I said, we're gonna go a little geeky with a question.
Excellent.
And who better to have this discussion with than somebody that is actually studying herpetoculture?
Woo.
So,
My
so
teacher.
I
Preview
sort of
that
went
at the
down
end.
this you know how this stuff goes, right? So we were talking about so they found this. I sort of talked about this on NPR a little bit, but they found that reduced pattern diamond or whatever you want to call it.
Right. That thing was nice.
Yeah, over in the Blue Mountains. And I was talking to the guy that actually found that snake, and he was saying, like, we were talking about, I wonder why that hasn't popped up in Australia. Like, sort of like you've seen that sort of stonewash looking Bredli that sort of popped up in Australia. I don't know if you ever seen that, but
I
like,
haven't seen it, but Nick has told me that similar
it's
genes have
similar.
popped up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't be far fetched to think that it would happen in another type of python.
Well, I mean,
Anyway,
there's no question that the um, genes that make our stonewash stuff exist somewhere in Australia. They didn't, just appear here.
right.
They just haven't found themselves yet.
Right. Yeah. 100% makes total sense. So he was saying that the animals they don't really, which I found out later on when we were doing NPR, somebody was telling me that that's really not the case. Who knows? I don't know. But he was saying that like most of the locality stuff that's in Australia that the diamond python keepers are working with is mostly like Central Coast type stuff. I guess because they're more yellow, more yellow to it, and really nice coloration and all that stuff. So obviously, I wanted to see what diamond pythons from the Central Coast look like. So I start looking up like how am I going to find it. I looked on Facebook. Facebook had like the the whole Central Coast reptile catcher type of page, and the majority of the content was diamond pythons. Now they're finding them in houses all over the place, and like it's really kind of cool. Like hopefully I can share this picture, but yeah, I can. So this right here was found on somebody's dining room table.
Damn.
Which is just wild to walk down and say, oh yeah, there we go. It's on a dining room table. So my thought was like, why would they be going inside? Like what are they trying to get away from weather? Are they trying to get away from, predators? Are they looking for food? Are there females that are in the in the attic that they're after? Like what is the case? So obviously one thing led to another. I'm on Weather Spark. I'm looking at like, what's the temperatures like in September to see, what's going on. And, as you just go one thing after another, a thing popped into my head, and I sort of ran this by Keith, and I was looking at how fast the temperature drops. And after listening to Glubrid and Glubroid Radio, the Brumation episode, which was amazing, by the way. If you haven't listened to that, I forgot to say what I was going to say at the beginning is like, if that's like going to a class with Zach, I'm very jealous because
pretty much.
Holy shit, man. That was an amazing episode. Really, really, really cool. So glad that they do a podcast,
It's so valuable. Like you're saying,
it
is. Yeah. I'm going to be in debt to hear this stuff. You can get it for free.
Right. So so I was wondering what your thoughts are. Like, obviously pythons are triggered by weather, obviously, whether it's temperatures, cold fronts, pressure drops, if it's precipitation, all these things play a factor into getting them to breed. Right. The one thing I noticed is how fast the temperature dropped. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the idea of breeding a species like these more difficult species, like say a diamond. Like diamonds aren't necessarily in the category of Boelens, but or a Boelens python or something like that. Maybe the trigger is not necessarily dropping the temps, but it's how fast that pressure drops, or how much of what's the amount of degrees that it drops. Yeah, that is what the trigger is.
That could absolutely
crazy to think this?
Not at all. I mean, it's just another variable, right? In a hormonal process that has a lot of variables. So I think that that's a great question. I think that it's probably um, something that matters
Right.
depending on region, but I don't think it can be something that is at the forefront of most important variables because it's going to be different every year.
Right.
And these things evolve for consistency, not necessarily you know waiting for an anomaly year.
Right.
Um, so I guess my question would be, what is like a 50 to 100-year average of that variable, right? Like how
Right.
how quickly, how drastically, and over what period of during what time of year does temperature tend to drop? And my guess is if you plotted it all out, what you would find is that there's a lot of variability year to year,
Right.
especially now when everything's all thrown out of whack and in flux, as we should all be keenly aware.
Right. Yeah. What is
um,
-2 here and
yeah, I saw an amazing map that like the equator is supposed to separate the hemispheres in summer and winter,
right.
right? But it was like summer and winter was like clearly separated on top of the United States, like going sideways. It was like 99 plus over here, and then
Right.
like -40 over here. It just is all broken. But anyway, I think it's definitely a variable. And I think that's a really interesting point, especially because in the hobby, we are gun shy to drop temperatures fast. Everybody says, yes, you need to
Yes.
cool these snakes, you need to cycle these snakes, but don't do it too quick or they'll get a
Right.
sniffle. So,
Right.
like
That's
do it over a month or two. Maybe that's not as effective in triggering the hormonal cascade that we want to trigger than, say, 82 degrees, 82 degrees, 60 degrees. Maybe a big shock to the system plays a conducive role
right.
to breeding. I don't know.
Right.
Um, but that's a great question. This is why I love talking to you. I've never heard of this question. Nobody has said this to me.
Yeah, it's just that's weird how my brain works, but like when
You'd
you're
be a
always
great
trying to like
investigative journalist.
when you're trying to figure out like what could be different, like
Yeah.
why would this species be different? Another I ran this by Keith, and I actually got this from watching one of the BBC Planet Earth thing. I want to say it was the newest one or whatever, but they were talking
Cool.
about flamingos. And in order for flamingos to breed, they had to travel this crazy amount that,
Hmm.
to find these females and then breed. And if they didn't do this migration,
Hmm.
then they wouldn't breed. Right.
Yeah.
So, um, the thing that got me thinking was, especially with Bowen's pythons, and this sort of applies to Apodora as well, two
Hmm.
species that are definitely hard to breed in captivity. You never see. So I questioned Keith on this just to make sure before I asked, but um, there hasn't been males like found in the wild during breeding season. So
Right.
where are they?
And that's always been the biggest like huh for me in like all of
Right,
herpetoculture is when I
right.
hear people say that. Like, what do you mean you don't find the males?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it got, and me and I think it was me and Rob were talking, and it's sort of the same thing that applies with Apodora, right?
Mhm.
Obviously they haven't been looked for or herped as much as you would Bowen's, but well,
At
I
least
don't
not
know that.
people in our
Let's put
circle.
it, yes, the
Yeah.
people that I know
Yeah.
have it. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
better
We
way to
actually
say
know
it.
a dude that wrote a book about it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, the fact that you never really get imports of Apodora coming in made me think of males. It's always just females. So males are hard to come by. And it made me think like, do they have to migrate? Is it something with these animals that these males migrate that, does the male not have to be around in order for the female to ovulate? I don't know why that would be,
Mhm.
but it just seems odd to me that you never find any males around the females.
There's no doubt it's weird. And like you're saying, there's so many other examples in nature where migration plays a key role in
Sure.
courtship.
Yeah.
Um, and That's a really interesting point. I mean, there's so many things um, across nature that are communicated um, through pheromones, chemical cues, things that
Sure.
we are not going to perceive.
Right.
Um, so it's completely within the realm of possibility. That's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah. We're not supposed to have answers on this. We just raise questions. That's
Yeah,
all. Get
yeah.
people
I mean,
thinking, you know?
the just again keeping the broader context in mind that essentially all we're trying to do here is trigger the correct hormone cascade that makes boy snake make sperm and
Right.
girl snake develop
Ovulate.
follicles and
Right.
ovulate. Yeah.
Right.
So what does that is I think it's that you know that concept that you've been talking about for years, which is like there might be 7 or 8 or however many key
Cosmic octopus.
variables. The cosmic octopus.
Yeah.
Yes, key variables that make that happen. And all of these things that you're raising right now could potentially contribute to that. And I'm sure that the variables are different for different species. That is a fact. Like
Yeah.
2,500 species of snakes, it's not the same for every single one. We know that.
Sure.
So
100%.
is it out of the question that maybe these mystery male bull and I are doing something that helps either in their in their own right producing sperm or in their absence helping the female I it's not outside the realm of possibility, but there's no way to
Right.
know.
There's so there was a study done, there was a paper written, and hopefully I don't screw this up, but it was with blood pythons. I think it was blood python. Yeah, it had to be blood pythons. I'm not sure. It was some type of short tail. But
Okay.
anyway, the fact that the female would be around other females if that one female ovulated,
Hmm.
they found that it would induce those other females to ovulate
Right.
as well. So
Yep.
I would think that you could also have, to your point, all these pheromones are flying around, and like it's like, oh, okay,
For
clearly we see it
sure.
with carpets, right? As soon as we get to this time of year, you see it with Morelia or whatever, you see the males cruising around the cage looking for those females, trying to get to them. So obviously
Mhm.
something is happening that we're just not in tune with. Um,
Mhm.
I want to back up though
If
to
I may,
this.
though, that's a really interesting point too, especially with species that nest the way
Yeah,
a Bolin's python
diamonds,
does.
Bolins.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if Apodora do, but I'm just gonna say. So a fast drop inside could stress or make them sick. So
That's what
okay,
we hear.
right.
But I would call attention to. I would simply say, is that evidence based or is that folklore husbandry?
Exactly. And here's the other part of it. I would agree with you if we're talking about an Indonesian python, right? Because I don't think that they really get this. So, this is just my opinion, right? Of working with these different, pythons and whatnot. It seems that the ones that are from, which makes sense, right? The Indonesia type of equator pythons, all your liasis that are up in those, scrubs and IJs and chondros and all these things, they don't really so much have. I mean, there is temperature fluctuation. And here's the other thing, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people will say to what you're saying about folklore husbandry is like we have this idea that like, oh, well, you don't have to drop temps to breed IJs, right? They just sort of breed. But yeah, you do have to, even if you're not dropping the temps in your room are dropping, but maybe they don't need as big of a swing of
Right.
temp drops. Maybe 2 degrees is all they need. And they're like,
Mhm.
okay, it's changed. Time to go.
Right.
Whereas with a diamonds or a Bolins or whatever, either the amount that it drops, like or the how fast it drops,
Yeah.
could possibly induce them to breed. I don't know. Just
For sure.
ideas. Could be total
Um,
bullshit.
yeah, I mean, it's a fun thought exercise. Regardless, the Dragon Lair who posted that said, read what he said above that. He said, um, but doesn't being in the wild expose them to knowing the drop is coming through barometric pressure drops, whereas inside a cage they can't experience it. My thought is that they're experiencing barometric pressure just fine inside a cage, unless you're pressurizing your room, a la an airplane cabin. You know, your PVC or wood box is not shielding them
Right.
from the actual barometric pressure. Now, that being said, your local climate probably experiences a lot different barometric pressure regimes than their native climate. So that could still be a contributing factor to throwing things off um,
Right.
in different parts of the world. But they're still going to feel it for sure. The
Right.
cage doesn't, just like, walking inside, there's a roof over my head, but it didn't change the pressure that the atmosphere is imposing upon my body.
Right. 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 Yeah, because clearly I mean, here on the East Coast, especially in the Northeast, snowstorms are like they're like the python breeding gold. I mean, as soon
Mhm.
as a snowstorm is coming, you put, most pythons together that are like, the easier bred species, you're gonna get locks, you're gonna get some kind of action for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Owen experiences that. I experienced that. A lot of the people that are around us experience the same thing. And,
Yeah.
it's the only time that we're ever excited about snow.
Exactly. And I
So,
was I was messaging you guys a ton during the break when we had our atmospheric river come through. Everything was locking up. Um,
yeah,
Same idea, just different climate, different part of the world.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's sort of like where my mind's been over the break.
Well, I like it, and I think that we should bookmark this and ask Crawdaddy himself when he
Yes.
joins us next week.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Shout
We will.
out.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
know we had talked about talking to him about that, but I sort of wanted to like get the idea, work
Well,
the
now it's
idea
fun.
out
Now the
before it.
seeds are planted for us and our audience. So, for
Exactly.
those of you that are listening
Exactly.
and frustrated that we're talking about things we don't know about, next week we'll talk to somebody that does know about it, and we might get you real answers.
Right. Right.
Yes. So, Zach Loafman, next Friday, put that in your calendars.
Yeah, that should be fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
always.
I
He's in a creek right now. That's why he couldn't join us this week. He's doing crawdaddy things in some frigid river.
Oh God, in West Virginia. Oh my God.
Yeah, somewhere over there. I don't know.
Holy boy. Oh boy. All right.
He loves this shit.
Um, yeah. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to.
I
Jeff
love the
sent me
thought
this.
though, because yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that that's for me, like pretty colors, morphs and stuff do it for some people. The geeky stuff does it for me, and the amount
Me
of
too.
variables that exist in a question as simple as is it going to make babies or not is just it's fascinating. And you just thought of something that I'd never thought about ever. And I'm
Right.
sure there's an infinite number of other variables that we're also not thinking about. So that's
Right.
the fun part, man.
Yeah, man. That's the part I geek out about too.
Yeah.
I find myself more drawn to the behavior, like I was saying about the Kimberleys. Just watching them hunt in the little cracks and like it's so cool. I mean, um, oh, the
For
Boa
sure.
podcast. Yeah, well, yeah, the Boa podcast is in the works. Uh, I know Warren was trying to finish up some stuff with school and stuff, but they sort of have the equipment. They're sort of working. They sort of came up with a name. We're working on a logo, and then it's just a matter of getting those guys to record the first episode. Which, I mean, come on, you got Warren Booth, you got Keith McPeak, and you got Rob Stone. I mean,
God damn.
holy shit.
We don't
Yeah.
deserve this podcast.
It's like go big or go home, I guess, and
It's the
the fact
all-star
that
team.
yeah, I'm very, very happy. So this is what I love about Colubrid and Colubroid radio is the fact
Mhm.
that I'm learning about like garter snakes.
Yeah.
I don't know why they get they seem in the hobby to sort of have this stigma to them that they're like this beginner snake and then they become like a trash snake, if you will. But I think it was Rob
Right.
Shea. Shea, was it Rob Shea or Rob Shaw that was on there talking about garter snakes with those guys? And like I just find it amazing learning. I have no desire to keep garter snakes. I've kept them in the past. I'd love to see them in the wild. I
Hmm.
think that would be cool.
Right.
But to learn about them and to
Yeah.
find out that there's these other facets of herpetoculture where somebody's just as excited about a garter snake as I am
Yeah.
about a carpet python is just awesome, you know, to
Absolutely. And I mean, for me, I'm with you, right? Like I'm fortunate in that I can go outside and find different kinds of garter snakes all over my local area. So for me, the coolest thing is to do that.
right,
Why would I keep them here when I can
just
pop
go
over
find
to
them.
the the
Right.
local
Yeah.
park? But to your point, that's the thing. It's like every single species, even the most like beated to death, like carried at Petco species, has something that's fascinating about them that somebody could geek out on and fall in love with. I think when it becomes not good is when that's not the point anymore, and that's lost, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, nothing should be a throwaway beginner animal.
No.
Nothing
And
should be seen that way.
I think too, like, I don't even know if they're really a throwaway. I mean, to me, I guess like they're not necessarily easy. I mean, I guess they are easy, but I would think a corn snake would be much easier than a garter snake for somebody new.
I mean, yeah,
Maybe
let
I'm
me put
wrong,
it
but
this way. I've never recommended somebody get a garter snake for their first pet at work. Like,
right.
yeah,
That's
nice.
that's pool boy, by the way. So you see what I mean? See how it
Hmm.
sort of has that same lavender, and that's
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
pure, you know.
It's gorgeous.
So that was from Jeff.
Oh boy.
But yeah,
Thank you, Jen.
pool boy. That was from
But yeah,
Julie. Julie had that animal. I don't really think she's in the hobby anymore, but
mm,
yeah, she had some amazing carpets. I vended my first show with Julie, splitting a table with her at Tinley Park,
mm,
which was pretty cool.
that's awesome.
GFX Morelia is what she used to be. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
so that was cool learning about them. So I guess to wrap that whole thought up is like I'm excited to have the same thing about boas, and
absolutely.
have people that are not just going to talk about the morphs,
Hmm.
of what it is, or you know I'm excited about that because all
Yeah,
those guys are great, and
I can't wait. I hope that it's able to ignite something in me to appreciate boas more because I like jokingly, not really jokingly, posted the other day like pythons over colubroids over boas for me, and it's they're just kind of they're there, but I
right.
acknowledge this because I just don't know the cool stuff. It's not that there's no cool stuff to know.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the thing with I find fascinating with herpetoculture is like I guess at some point when you're just getting into it, you're sort of influenced by certain things, and it sort of dictates which path you're going to go,
Right.
right? Because you're either a boa person, colubrid person, or a python person,
Yeah.
and or venomous, but like
That's
usually
its own
venomous
kettle of
is sort of
fish.
yeah, yeah, they sort of
You're your
branch
own
off when
kind
you're
of
tired of those
psychopath. No, I'm just
three,
kidding.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. um but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, it's funny, like
Yeah.
you get in, like I'm a python person. I just always have been drawn to pythons more so than boas. I don't know why,
I
you know.
I did feel that way, but to be honest, now like some of the colubroids are up there with pythons for me, but
Yeah.
that's also just probably the Loafman effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I
really
can
good at
see
what he
how he could have
does.
that in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You could have. Is there a particular one that you don't have that you would?
I like the beauty rat snakes. I really like the Taiwanese beauties, um, and other
Okay.
Drymarchon.
Okay. So
I like the
you
big ones.
right. Okay. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
but
Ian says he's in everything. He's a
I
boa
respect
python and
that.
colubrid.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
Some people.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if like I messaged you this during the break. If when I started working with these indigos, if I could only keep 3 species, well, one or two of them are going to be colubrids at this point. So sorry.
yeah. Hey man, that's the thing though. That's the beauty of this whole hobby is like you don't have to worry about what somebody else does. Do what you
Exactly.
love, man.
100%.
It's like if you I really like embrace that idea because for years I fought off the lizard thing, right?
Hmm.
I've had lizards all my life. I think, I've had everything from anoles to Nile monitors I've worked with,
Nice.
and everything in between. So I fought it all for a while because I don't know if I was necessarily prepared for what they entail, and
Hmm.
I'm so glad I made the jump because I don't know, man, they're so cool. Um,
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I'm loving my Ackies. My Ackies are mating.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be real cool.
See what
I
happens.
guess Herp Panel Forums is saying that he listened to an old podcast with Riley. I don't know if he means you or me.
It
Ended
wouldn't have
up
been
with
me.
a dozen rainbow
You're
boas.
the
I
one
guess
that
that's me.
he gave a rainbow bullet to, right?
Yeah, that stayed at Owen's house.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it never even made it here. It's just stayed
Steven, are
there.
you talking about me or Eric?
Yeah, probably. I guess it must be me.
I mean, I like rainbow boas, but I think if I was going to keep a boa, I'd jump Sanzinia.
Wow. Yeah, 3 years old. That sounds about right. I get. I used to. It's hard, man. It's hard when you do podcast every week.
Yeah.
Doing a podcast, you're talking to people, they're excited about what they're working with. You get excited about it. And then you're like, oh, they're so cool. You start when you're researching for the show and you're looking up stuff that you don't necessarily know or know about. And then you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're just down this rabbit hole. Yeah, exactly. Guys, Jamaican boas, like, come on. Like
Those are
seeing
pretty
those at
sick.
Rob's
Yeah.
place. What the hell, man?
Yeah,
Seeing them in person, what stunning animals.
for
Like,
sure.
amazing.
For sure.
So
Yeah,
much
man.
stuff, so little time, so little space. Sort of going
Yeah.
against my slimming down the collection.
Well, now we've just started talking about all the taxa. It's not fair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm happy with it's hard listening to pod, yeah, and everything you say. Yeah, 100%. Especially if you get the right person, right? If you get that person that's really excited about what they're keeping, it's,
Justin or Phil. I don't know.
I think Rob will just give them to you without getting the feet pics, man.
Feet pics. I didn't know that was Bob Rock's shtick.
I think that's more Owen's thing, right? Bigfoot, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. What
what's
Ian
that?
said. I do love me a Rosie and a rubber boa, but that's just because they're a California native. To me, that's neat.
Yeah. 100%. I would love to see one of those.
As a nerdy field biologist, I have love for everything that actually roams around these hills behind my house.
I kept Rosie boas briefly and really came down to the idea of every time that you would try. So I got bit more by that Rosie boa than I did by any carpet ever.
Yeah. They can be nippy as hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, they live in the rocks, right?
Yeah.
A lizard runs by, they got to snap it real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
I totally get it.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, rubber boas are like unicorns in the UK.
I mean, man, they're not common here either, unless you're talking about going outside and finding them. I think the only person I know that keeps them is Dr. Wyman.
Are they hard to find?
They don't seem too common in the hobby, at
Yeah.
least, I
No, no,
can't
no. I
say.
mean in the wild for
Oh, in
you.
the wild, they are for me. They
Yeah.
they have eluded
They've
me,
eluded you.
but people in my company find them every year and post pictures to tell me
No
that I'm
shit.
failing. Yeah, they're around. They're around.
That you're failing.
Yeah,
Loser.
yeah, exactly. One dude found it under the cover board. This was last spring that I had checked a week earlier. Like that's my luck with rubber boas. And
Right.
10 minutes from my apartment. Just
Right.
yeah. Hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I should make note that we. What the hell happened? Oh,
Uh-oh. You good?
oh, yeah. You can still see me, right? All of
Yeah,
a
you're
sudden,
here.
like another tab open, like somebody's like tapped into my computer and is working my
Uh-oh.
mouse
Owen
or
hacked the
something. I'm like, wait, what's
mainframe.
going on?
He said, "You talk of feet."
Yes. How dare
You.
you?
How dare you?
It's small foot to you. um,
Yeah.
oh shit, now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry. Yeah.
What was I saying?
He actually got his
Oh,
gallbladder removed so he can chuck it at people's head when they say fix it. Like,
he would do something like that.
he would. He found out there
Yeah.
were stones in it and he said, "Ooh, heavy."
Damn you, Burke.
Splat.
uh
Sorry.
I was saying, I know what I was saying. We're working on the first episode of the gecko. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Gekoda podcast.
Cool.
Which should be cool. Me, Phil, and Nipper are sort of putting it together. Nipper is like, dude, he's like he's down a rabbit hole with these geckos, man. He's like rattlesnakes, geckos, and that's about it.
Really
king
cool.
snakes. He likes king snakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, even just learning about different species of geckos, there's some really cool stuff out there. Like this year in 2022, like what I have been trying to do and forcing myself to do these other podcasts and sort of push myself out of the comfort zone to try to learn more about things that I don't know about.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm curious what your thoughts are with this. I think sometimes when you push yourself out of that zone, you get a better focus on the species that you do love because you might be looking at them through different lenses or
I
different perspectives.
couldn't agree more. I mean, there's no question that getting experience with other species is only going to improve how you work with all species, because you're considering all these variables and being exposed to bits and pieces of natural history that you had never had to think about before, but can apply. Maybe you learn something about species A and then you say, I had never thought about that with species B. What does species B do in that situation? Even if it's not important, you're still like expanding your horizon with that. And I've found that to be especially true for me with this last year and a half, because I actually had to learn about birds and take mammalogy, and I don't care, but like being exposed to even non-reptiles still gets your gears turning, because it's all part of the same. Everything's connected. It's all part of the same ecosystem.
Well, I think kind of it. Well, so sort of the inspiration with the whole gecko thing is to sort of like, obviously being a fan of Australian reptiles, led me to get the Underwoodosaurus milli right there, which
what's common name on that?
They're the Australian barking geckos.
Cool.
Let me see. Yeah. Oh wow! I knew a scientific name. All right. I'm keeping up with the big boys now.
There
all right. Let me see. I'm gonna show you what a picture of them looks like. But anyway, the cool thing about those, and maybe you can give me some ideas, or maybe the listeners, is they come out at night, so they're definitely nocturnal. So as soon as the lights come out, they come out, and dude, they are savage hunters. Like savage hunters after those roaches. But I'm trying to figure out a way that I can watch them without, um, disturbing them.
Hmm. Yeah, there's shoot, what's it called?
Like those moonlights.
Oh, you mean you still want to be in the room?
Yes. Well,
Okay,
I
I
guess.
was gonna say like a ring camera or something that's pretty good night vision, but
Oh, does it?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I guess I could do that.
But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know how you would be in the room and not disturb them.
Right.
Sorry.
So that, can you see that?
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, there they are. That's them. That's sort of what. And then my female is like, she's a hypo.
Huh,
Um,
beautiful.
THN says wise cams. Okay.
Okay. Oh, or hey, just actually get night vision goggles. There you go. Like the little kid in Jurassic Park in the Jeep.
Right. I was thinking more of Silence of the Lambs when they're down in the.
Yeah,
Hello,
either way.
cabbies.
See, but then you disturb the gecko.
Yes. My wife might start to wonder about me as well. Like, what are you doing? I have these big ass goggles. Like, go down, feed the gecko. I'm not doing that while you're away.
That's
but
cool.
the anti-knobtail. Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, man, they're like, it's like watching a cat stalk their prey. It's really cool. Really cool. But yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like the geckos. I'm not in the rabbit hole at all, but I acknowledge how deep and interesting that hole is.
Yeah. Well, here's the other part of it too, right? Especially with learning about Australian geckos, you're going to have a better understanding of the pythons that I absolutely love that take them as a prey source when they're young. So understanding the life cycle of a gecko is going to, much better, have a much better understanding of feed cycles for those animals, or when that prey is available and what would
100%. There is no piece of information about an ecosystem that isn't useful. You could tell me a little fun fact of the shrub growing under the tree that is still useful, like about the dirt that is housing that shrub. Like nothing escapes that web of interconnectivity within the ecosystem.
100%.
You just got to connect those dots.
Yeah. And when you do, it's quite fun.
100%.
So I am going to share this last thing because I know you have to roll out
pretty soon.
Yep. Yeah. Out of here in a decent time.
Now that I'm not COVID-y anymore, gonna see the grandma for the first time in 2 years. Very wholesome.
Excellent. So I always that's great, man. That's really good.
Yeah.
I always like to share a wild carpet because obviously we talked about a lot of things, but carpets are still my favorite. This one I saw popped up on Instagram, and it was taken by Peter. What was it? Salutes or something like that. Peter Salutes, I think, was his name, and it is from the Gibraltar Range in New South Wales, and it was on a very rainy night, and he just found it sort of sitting on the side of the track where he was walking. But I just thought, wow, what a cool carpet python.
Look at that face.
Look at that head.
Yeah.
Come on. That's what I love about them. I look at
what a beauty.
I love how these coastals that go further south into that diamond python, right? Like where they sort of, that inner breeding range, and where they have like that brown. Yeah. But they have the black with the, you know what I mean? That sort of tips out those brown scales. Like, come on, man.
It's stunning.
You can't tell me.
Yeah. And, I mean, that tone right on the lighter portions is kind of on point with the dead leaves and whatnot. You know, it's nothing's on accident there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that range is a mountain range that's in the northern tablelands region of New South Wales. It extends off the Great Dividing Range, and yeah, it's let's see what else.
Love the head structure of that thing.
Yeah, this is a national park, so I put it on the list to visit if I ever make it back.
Excellent.
But
Maybe you'll find his grandbabies.
yeah, but I always love looking at wild carpets, and that one really stood out to me as something really cool. I love those, you know,
Yeah.
it's almost like face paint, right? I think of it like war face paint. The black scales in between the cream colored scales there on the face. I guess they would be what the labial scales, right? Or wrong?
I would have to look at a diagram too. Sorry,
Okay,
I'm
all
not
right,
that
fair
good
enough.
yet.
All right, fair enough.
But I know
Anyway,
what you're saying, and it's badass. Yeah.
That's my carpet of the week. You follow local snake. Oh yes, I mean, dude, that's yeah.
Some of the best stuff is from that.
Um,
or the what is this group? Like what?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Pretty avid, open avid. I'm so excited. Do you follow local snake? Okay, I just want to make sure that I hit on all the questions. But yeah,
Caught up.
that's
Yeah,
sort of
man.
all I got on and
For
going
sure.
on, and yeah, we're
It's good to be back, and I mean, this is going to
yeah.
be a huge year for the network. I remember you saying no more shows. Now we got more shows. Are you ready? Like,
Yeah.
are you prepared for this?
The goal, and we're very, very close to the goal, is I want to have some type of content of a podcast, of a reptile podcast released every day of the month. And we're almost there.
Yeah.
And I think that my place in herpetoculture, and this is sort of why I've cut down on my collection, why I've sort of focused on specific things. But I think like the more I thought about it over the end of the last year and like, what do we want to do? I've been doing this for 11 years, da, 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 da. I think that the hobby is in need for good, solid content. And I think that there's a lot of people that for a long time have not done a podcast because of whatever reason. And I'm glad that we're able to extend to them the ability to come onto the platform and be able onto the network and to be able to do that, and
Absolutely.
no longer are they going to be a guest. It's going to be their show. And if you're into colubrids or colubroids, I mean, what better two people can you have to talk about those types of snakes? I mean, come on.
100%. Yeah. I mean,
Zach and Matt are just like, what the hell? Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
It's super valuable, and I think that it's an amazing thing that you're devoting yourself to, because it's something that will be forever lasting too. Like, people can always come back to these discussions, from all the great minds that you have on the various shows, guests included. I mean, for God's sake, man, you talked to Mark O'Shea about finding a rough scale python. Like, did you ever imagine that it would get to this point?
No, and that's what I mean. I want to continue to try to up that game of trying to get, to guests and try to, get people to really think about, what species that they want to really work with, and to have, this platform where we can have all these different topics ranging from, geckos to monitors to pythons to boas to colubrids to, you name it, the people that are in the hobby. And obviously we're working on the field herping side of it. We have that covered. The student of the serpent, I'm excited to get that going with Rob again.
Absolutely.
I was kind of
first
bummed
Woma
that
episode is still one of my favorite things you've ever done.
yeah. Thanks. But I think it's, the whole idea with that was always try to capture the conversation between me and Bob Rock, to try to get, and it's sort of like what we did tonight, right? I sort of have this crazy idea. I throw it out into the ether, and somebody smarter than me sort of like goes, ah, and puts it back out. And it's like, okay, you know.
I mean, I love, again, that Woma episode. I don't know if it achieved what you wanted it to, but I loved it. I want more of Student of the Serpent in 2022 for sure.
Yeah, I think that's like a huge where I'm at, you know. So like we're finishing up the Timber Rattlesnake episode, which should be amazing. And then yeah, we'll go from there. I know Owen Pelly's on the list, obviously.
Excellent.
I told Rob, I said, Rob, the second episode that we do in 2022 has to be about rhino rat snakes. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You're the rhino rat snake guy. You gotta do it. Yes, the BOA podcast will be on the network. Yes. Probably, I'm thinking probably maybe February, maybe end of February, beginning of March, something like that. It really just depends on Warren's schedule. Obviously, that's going to be a monthly podcast, but yeah, that's going to be great.
Perfect. No, I mean,
so
I can't wait, man. Yeah. Can't wait to see it grow. Yeah. Like,
good stuff.
What other pet hobby group has a network of podcasts with multiple PhDs and all these people? Like, good Lord. Yeah. But exactly. That being said, if folks kind of want to do a little bit of homework for next week's episode, do go listen to the Brumation Bonanza. Is that what he called it? On Colubrid and Colubrid Radio, because we are going to have Dr. Zach Loafman on with us next Friday. And I'm sure we'll be discussing that episode because there's so much to talk about there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, join us for that.
Yeah. So if you have questions, like Lucas said, get them ready and we'll go through them. And yeah, man, just tap the brain. It's probably my favorite episode with him talking about snake digestion. It's just
exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Come on, man.
100%. So, yeah.
All right. Enough of us rambling. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Well, we would talk another hour or so, but you got to go. So if you want to learn anything about the network, MoreliaPythonRadio.com. We'll get you there. We'll find out everything you need to know. If you want to get in touch with us, info@MoreliaPythonRadio.com. Thank you. Whatever you got, Lucas.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, exactly. It's good to be back. We'll talk to you soon. CentralianExotics.com.
Very good. All right. Until next time. Thank you, everybody.